Hi everyone, it's Danny. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with another design team layout for the Scrap the Boys challenge. This is for the month of November and we are using a sketch this month, as you can see there on the screen. I actually decided to change things up a little, even though it is a 12 by 12 square aspect ratio sketch. I am going to be doing an A4 size sketch, it's kind of halfway between, I've said this before, it's about halfway between 8.5 by 11 and 9 by 12. It's actually closer to 8 by 12. So it's the same kind of orientation as either one of those sizes if you are like a standard scrapbook size person. I personally like A4 because I can get the albums easily and the page protectors easily. So what I'm going to do is start out with these two photos of my son and my husband at the beach. I'm actually making this as a companion page for a layout I've already done, which helps make things easier for me design-wise. I'm using the same collection I used for that page, which is the Coco Vanilla Studio Unforgettable collection, and it is a beach layout, so I was going to use this side, but I realized that I already used it on the other side of the other layout I made, so I'm going to use this side. Even though there are florals on here, I'm going to cover those up mostly with this wood grain, so it does end up working. I really like that kind of watercolor circle that's on the other side of the paper, the kind of aqua colored circle. I'm going to work that into the design. So I've cut both my photos down to square. I've cut one slightly larger than the other though, just to keep it kind of interesting looking. And I'm just cutting out this strip of wood grain that is going to go pretty much just there where that large panel of paper is in the sketch. And I'm just going to go through and distress all the edges because I love my distress edges and it adds a lot of detail and interest and texture. Once I've done with my scissors, I'm just going to go through with my fingers and kind of really add extra texture. So the good thing about the Coco Vanilla Studio paper is that it's really nice, thick, high quality paper, so it doesn't tear easily or ruin it when you really go to town with the distressing. So that is going to go right there. I've got my photos cut down. I'm just going to back them quickly in some white, just plain white paper for a border. And my ATG, of course, is playing up here. So while I'm doing this, I'll just let you know the link to the challenge is in the description box below. There is a blog post you can go and have a look at, but the actual challenge entry, you'll want to do that on Facebook. So it has changed. It was originally a link up on the blog, but we are no longer doing that because not many people were being able to link up. So we've switched to Facebook. So I will leave the link to that in the description box as well. You'll just want to go ahead and add your layout photo to the album on there. And that's how you enter. So I'm just going to add a couple of paper layers here. I am going to use this nice aqua color. Like I said, I have used that on the other layout I made to go with this page. So it's nice to tie in similar colors and patterns. So this is just a strip that I have left over that I'm trying to obviously use up. So this is the piece that I cut off the main part of the background. So I just want to get it used up. So I'm just piecing the two pieces together to make a full photo mat. I do that quite often. Honestly, no one's going to ever notice that it isn't one continuous piece, especially with a pattern like this where it is just a very subtle kind of watercolor pattern. You really can't tell that it's joined together. Look at that. And this one I'm just going to back in this beautiful bright coral, pinky coral color, and just a thin border of that. I really love how this color pops against the blue in my photos. So just trimming that down. This layout ends up being quite simple because it is that smaller format, so there isn't as much space to take to fill up with embellishments and bits and pieces. I'm going to pop that tag in. There's a couple of tags in the sketch actually. I do only use one down the bottom here. And the sketch just sort of has a few clusters of embellishments up and down this side panel, and also quite a few circular elements. So I do bring in a couple of these little flare, and I will use quite a few of the enamel dots as well. So I'm just going through all my ephemera at the moment. I'm nearly actually through this packet. I do have a backup, but I'm trying to get used what I have before I dig into the new stuff. So instead of the tag that is up around here on the sketch, I'm going to use the label and the little ticket. I'll actually switch that ticket out for this smaller purple one. And I'll also pop in that second flare just there, bringing in some more of those circular elements. I also like that they tie in with my large half circle that is on my background paper as well. So just going ahead and sticking all that down now. I'm going to go ahead and stick down my photos. The beauty of working with a sketch is that I know pretty much where everything's going to go. I know my photos aren't going to go anywhere else, so I am happy to stick those down. And I just make sure not to put adhesive right all the way to the edge, so if I do want to tuck things underneath, I have a bit of room to do that. So I've gone ahead and done that, and then I'm going to add, sorry I got out of frame here, but I'll just add that little label of the sticker sheet, and then I'm going to add some of the tiny word stickers up here. There are some kind of like long strip pieces on the sketch, so those reminded me of tiny word stickers, which I love using anyway, so I'm going to stick those at the top and the bottom of this panel. And actually thinking about it, I probably could have laid another one over that little cluster of tickets and labels that I have there, but that's okay. I'm also going to use up every last enamel dot off this sheet, which was kind of my intention. I really want to get that used up, get it out of the way. So I'm going to do a cluster top and bottom there, and then I'm going to add quite a few around my title, but I haven't decided what that's going to be yet. Now at this point I realized that I hadn't actually glued down any of my ephemera or embellishments, so I'm just going to very quickly go through and add a bit of glue behind all those pieces. There aren't many, so it doesn't take too long. There we go. And now I'm looking for a title. I wanted to use one of those clear stickers, but they were far too big, and I did not factor that in whatsoever. But I remembered I had all these little cut out titles that I cut out of one of the 12 by 12 pattern papers. It's covered in these script titles, and they're actually really lovely to fussy cut out. And I know they look really, because they're scripty, they look really difficult to fussy cut out, but they're really not that difficult at all. So you can see this is sped up really fast obviously, but I just trimmed those out really quickly. I left a decently large white border around the outside, which definitely makes fussy cutting easier, but as this background paper is mostly white anyway, it really doesn't matter that there's a border on there. And then I will pop in those last enamel dots, and if you watch closely you'll see I lose one of the small green ones. Yeah, so that one, because I do move my enamel dots around quite a bit, I always do. I never can seem to get them down right the first time. I'll pull this one up and then I lose it. It flicks around getting stuck to my finger and then it just disappears. There you go, it's gone. And I looked everywhere for it. I cut out most of what I filmed of me looking for it. It was a lot. But I ended up finding it later, so I did pull this layout back out and stick it back on. So there you go. Alright, so I get all those used up. I'm really happy to get rid of a empty bit of packaging. Now I'm going to take advantage of having used a mostly white background, which I don't do often, to use some of these clear stickers. I've got so many left. I just use pattern paper backgrounds so much that I rarely get a chance to use them. So I'm going to pop in 3 of the little kind of watercolor brushstroke stickers. And this one's dark enough that it does stand alone on that wood grain, so I'll pop that in there. And the very last thing I'm going to add is a little sprinkling of gold Kaiser mist, just all the way around really. And I am going to try and get a little bit on the edges of my photo. There you go, you can see on my photos. So I really like that technique. It really looks amazing, especially gold, just around the edges. Especially I feel like on a beach layout it's a little bit more casual. And that's my layout finished. Close-ups are coming up. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye guys.